Microphones that have both USB and XLR on them are few and far between, and Maono has now entered the slightly higher tier price bracket of the nicer microphones that have those functionalities. And today we're going to be checking it out. Welcome back. If you're new around here, my name is Chris, this is Coalition Gaming, and I like to teach you guys about repairing, setting up, and streaming from your PC. If you're into that sort of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. And here we are at the desktop. We have the AverMedia Livestreamer Mic 330 right here to test against, and this is how it sounds with some EQ applied. So now let's go ahead and disable the EQ and see how it sounds raw before I move on to the Maono. And now this is how it sounds with no EQ on it. So there is a big difference in the sound with EQ versus without EQ. So when it comes to software that lets you do EQ for your microphones, it can be a pretty big deal. So now that you've heard how this mic sounds both EQ'd and not EQ'd, let's go ahead and switch to the Maono. And here we are with the Maono PD400X through my own AverMedia Livestreamer Nexus interface. And no EQ, no noise gate, no compressor, nothing. This is how this microphone sounds raw. So let's see how it sounds with a little bit of, I guess, see if it picks up any self noise. Okay, with that out of the way, now let's just turn on the noise gate so that we don't have to deal with any self noise for the rest of the video, and you guys can hear how that sounds. If anything, it just goes to show you the importance of a noise gate for your setups with your microphones. So while the audio is raw now, let's see how it sounds from a few feet back. This is a few feet back, and I'm just going further and further back, and this is how it sounds from here. Now, considering this is a dynamic microphone, it should have sounded pretty far away over there. So just the way that dynamics work with the way that they sort of rejecting noise isn't the right term, but not picking up so much room noise from around is one of the benefits of a dynamic. What about rejection on the sides? This is how it sounds from this side. This is how it sounds from this side. Now what if all the way in the back? Yeah, there we are. So now let's apply some EQ to this microphone. Now I went ahead and added some treble, took away some mids, and added some bass. You get a very boomy sound with this sort of config. May not be for everybody, but just goes to show you the sort of dynamicness you can have in microphone configurations. But that gives you an idea of how this microphone will sound with and without EQ. So now let's move on over to checking out how this sounds via USB. But first, a quick plosives test. Please bring pizza pronto. Podcastage. Yeah, it's not the worst when it comes to plosives, but it's not the best either. So if you can get a pretty good, like a little pop filter for one of these, then I think you'll be in good shape. But if you angle it away from your mouth for normal talking through it, then it sort of mitigates that. And here we are with the Maono PD400X in USB mode. And I have to say, immediately, one of the things I like is the right along the volume button there. The knob that you see for control here is that it has lights to tell you like your volume level, if you're peaking, how loud the microphone is. That's a cool feature. Nothing to do with that knob works if you're using this in XLR mode. So the fact that in USB mode you get this functionality, I mean, that's when you're at how you would expect it to work, sure, but it's nice because you don't see a lot of these USB mics that do both have that kind of feature. Now, it also has zero latency monitoring. I'm monitoring myself in my connected through the microphone as well right now. And I am actually slightly impressed with how this microphone sounds just flat and straight. No EQ, no nothing. I haven't even gotten to the Maono software yet, but this sounds pretty good for what it is. Let me tell you a little bit more about the button real quick though. If you push the button once, you see it'll highlight there, and I believe that is volume to my headphones, so basically what I'm monitoring. And when I have that monitored, I can just turn myself down and how loud I'm monitoring myself in my headset. Really nifty feature there. Then if you press it again, it goes to the mix. So I guess sort of like the side chaining of it, how loud you are versus what you're listening to in there. And then straight microphone volume. If you push it again, I have it turned all the way up. But yeah, turning this one down will turn me all the way down. Like that's the one for microphone right there. I'm looking at it through my monitor because I can't look down exactly at it the way that I want, but there you go. Now my shock mount was actually blocking it, but this microphone also does have capacitive mute. So you see the green button right there, you tap it. Then if you push it again, we're back. But for the sake of recording this video, I'm going to slide this back up my shock mount. Look, I know it comes with the stand and everything, but ultimately when you get a microphone like this, most people are going to want to put it on some kind of an arm. And because my arm is direct mounted into my desk from a drilled in hole, and then you hit the desk, you type, you put stuff around, cups, whatever, it can't pick that up. So a shock mount really helps reduce that stuff. I'll link a video right up here and down in the description below as to why I think shock mounts are important. And I did mention that this is how this mic sounds flat. It does have a button on it for a high pass filter and a presence boost. And both of those can also be enabled separately or also together. So let me turn on the high pass filter. And so this is how it sounds with the high pass filter. I can already tell a slight difference to how I sound, but it also cut off some sort of background noise, which I think is kind of nice. It does make me sound a little more nasally, I think. But, we'll be getting to some EQ when it comes to all that, some more settings. But now let's try the presence boost. And here we are with the presence boost. Presence boost seems to have, I feel like maybe it got a little bit more bass with it. But as far as like range goes, I can still hear myself out here as well. I think the presence boost is just going to give it a bit more. And I actually like how it sounds. The presence boost turns on. I didn't think I would. But now let's turn on the high pass filter and the presence boost together. Okay, so we have the high pass filter and the presence boost turned on together now. And actually don't like how it sounds together. I much prefer just the way it sounds with the presence boost. So this is what you get. With the basics out of the way in terms of how to use this mic more plug and play friendly, let's have a look at the Maono Link software now. So here's the software. Maono Link is the name of it, and immediately it kind of looks like the Shure MV7 microphone software, doesn't it? That aside, you can see, live how it's how loud you're getting in it. You can monitor there. You can mute there by clicking that button right there. The volume in your headphones, you can control it right here in the software instead of relying on the knob and stuff like that. Your monitor mix versus what you hear coming into the headphones from your microphone versus what's playing through your computer if you're using the microphone to route your audio through, all controllable right there as well. And some basic EQ settings, some sort of preset. Deep is the current tone that it's on. Then we have natural right here. Obviously it's just less bassy. And then we have bright right here. So it takes the bass out, gives you more, I guess, a more trebly voice here. But to me, it's microphones like this and listening to podcasts a lot, you like the deep sound. And just the deep preset on this already sounds pretty good. Now, you can even control in the software the distance of where you want to speak to the mic from. So right now I have it on near, and this is kind of the optimum way to use a dynamic microphone. But if you lean back a little bit more, you go to mid here, and to me, it just sounds like it's boosting the gain in order to accomplish that. Which, by all means, that's actually really good because a lot of USB microphones don't really have too much control for that sort of thing. Now, if we go to far, yeah, I'm just going to be getting louder, but it's actually like making the bassier sound a bit more pronounced to the point where I don't like it as much. So then if I go to natural, this sounds a bit more balanced. But as you can see, that's just the basics of it. So I'm going to go back to near because this is one of the reasons. I'm going to go back to deep now as well. One of the reasons you got to be careful with those sorts of settings is that if you have other loud things in your area, you're raising the chance of your microphone picking those things up by increasing this setting here. So you just got to be aware of that. If you don't want to go crazy on gain, and this just applies to microphones in general, you want to get it to sound as good as possible for everybody without having to crank your gain as much, because then you will get like a natural noise rejection of sorts. You won't be picking up fan noise as easily, air conditioners as easily, things like that. Now, this is just the standard tab on the software. It does have an advanced tab, so let's click that. So now I'm clicked over to the advanced tab and it's got a bit more stuff. The same thing with the microphone mute and the how loud you're, the meter here, headphone volume, of course, monitor mix. But the button on the bottom of the microphone is also controllable here in the software. So you can have the high pass filter right here. You can have the presence boost filter right here, and the high pass filter and presence boost filter right there. I'm going to go ahead and take that back to flat for me because I prefer the way that sounds. You can also control your gain directly right here. But here's what's cool now. You can also turn on a limiter. This just literally is a limiter. How loud can you peak? And I'm going to go ahead and try that right now by being loud. So headphone warning, I guess. Watch this. So if you're prone to screaming and like, let's say, just being loud all of a sudden on your streams, and you know, obviously that happens, then you might want to find a good spot for your limiter. That's cool that the software has that. Next is the compressor. Now, if this works like I think it does, to me, it would do almost the same as what a limiter would do, but I guess the limiter does it without necessarily compressing your audio down at the peak. So again, I just want to put it out there. I'm no audiophile or microphone pro. I'm a guy who learned microphones for the sake of content creation and streaming, just doing my best to share my knowledge with you guys. So if I get some of the terminology and usage incorrect, forgive me. So this compressor works a little differently than what I'm used to with the software and other stuff that I've dealt with, but that's fine because, like I said, I'm just trying here. And so you can see here all the compressor settings for attack, release, compression rate, maximum, and biggest one is the threshold. And what I noticed with this one is it really is just finding them higher points and bringing them back down. Instead of just cutting them out like a limiter would. So right now, if I get really loud all of a sudden, it still keeps my voice in there instead of cutting them out. So let's say right now I just go, again, headphone warning, here we go. Ah! Now if I turn the compressor off, you see that's going to blow your ears. Now, ah! And you see the difference there and how a compressor can be useful. This microphone costs $149 right now, and its competition looks to be something like the Samson Q9U and the Shure MV7. And I have to say that it stands up really well against those microphones, especially for the money. It has a high-end look to it. It is metal construction on there and all black, very sleek. The control knob on it is nice. The buttons on it for the different high pass filter and presence boost stuff is good. The capacitive mute is good. It's got a lot of things going for it. The software is definitely a plus in this microphone, especially for having the onboard gain control, limiter, and compressor. And I mean, that's not usually a thing you see for some microphones, but it's good to see it here. My biggest gripe right now is that you don't get any granular control over the EQ of the microphone in the software for it. That doesn't make any sense to me. You have some basic presets like deep, natural, and bright, sure. But again, those are just basic presets and people want more control over their microphones and over how they sound, and you can't do it with this software. You're gonna need to go with a different software to do that, like SteelSeries Sonar, or I believe it's EQ.APO or something like that, that I've seen Nutty talk about, that it does it at the driver level for the microphone. I generally recommend SteelSeries Sonar because the Frugal Streamer has some tutorials on it as well that I like to link people to. And software like that gives you far more control over the EQ of the mic and the sound of the mic beyond just a couple of presets. So if there's anything I had to complain about and anything I want to give any feedback to Maono for, it's add finer EQ control for the microphone in the software. There really isn't a point to the standard or advanced tabs aside from the gain control, limiter, and compressor if you don't also include a more in-depth EQ control on that side of the software. Regardless of all that, it sounds very good, and it's definitely a contender in its price bracket. So streamers and content creators out there, if you wanted a microphone that was a bit of a different brand that was also nice, you can use it via USB or XLR, possibly to grow with you or to just have that level of flexibility, or dual PC setups because it can output to both at the same time. This is definitely a solid choice. I want to know your guys' thoughts on how this microphone sounds down in the description below. Drop a comment down below. If you like this video, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and that bell so you don't miss a single upload. Also, I stream to Twitch every Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific. So Drop a follow. Let's talk. That's at twitch.tv/Coalition Gaming Crew, and we can talk more stream tech over there. Like I said, all those other videos that I've mentioned in this video will be linked down in the description below, so make sure you check that out. It's time for me to go. This is Chris from Coalition Gaming signing off. I'll see you guys in the next video or the next stream. Peace out.